get registered and vote. By 1972, I had gotten involved. I was 32 years old. Got in an argument with a guy. Got into an argument with a guy about how much he charged me for some pot. And he said it was a 9 weed, and I said it was a 6. We got into a fight, and we made up this book. This book became the bestseller in the United States in the underground market in 1973, in 1974. And people walked up to me and said, Mr. Herr, I was 33 years old, I said, Mr. Herr, did you know that they used to make paper for marijuana? And I looked down at my lid, and I just couldn't picture how they made paper. I was from Buffalo, New York originally. They don't do that back there. So, next thing is somebody come up, 19, 20-year-old kid going to college. He said, you know, they used to use hemp for sales and clothes, marijuana. I had barely ever heard the word hemp before in my life, and usually with a hemp rope. It just kept growing. After I wrote this book, people thought I must know something about pot. At that time, 1973, early 73, I probably couldn't identify a pot plant if I stumbled on it. In 1973, I met a guy named Capt at Adair. He owned a head shop in Los Angeles called Heads and Highs. Then Van Nuys, another one in Musikka. And by himself, this guy, in 1972, decided that when they were collecting signatures to put California marijuana initiative on the ballot, he decided, the unpaid volunteer initiative, he decided to open the store 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he'd give people 50% off if they bring in off a water pipe, off a pipe.
You're back on.
Hello? Okay. So, here we were with this Captain Ed in 1972, opened the store around the clock and did something no human being had ever done before that I have ever heard. He collected 140,000 signatures from his 2 stores in the San Fernando Valley. 1/3 of all the signatures that were collected in the state of California to put the marijuana initiative by volunteers on the ballot. That hundreds of petitioners came out of the store, would go out, come back, he'd give them some bucks off something, he'd smoke them out. If they didn't have a place to sleep, he'd sleep them in the back room. It was a hell of a thing. You couldn't believe it worked. It wasn't U.S. Steel, and it wasn't the U.S. government or the Army. This is a ragtag bunch of people that basically look like we do right now. In fact, he's a little bit more ragtag. Tall hats. Anyway, as I'm telling you this story, in 1972, he opened the store, he made it his business, more than the other 200 head shops in California, 300 record stores from the chains that all had carried the petition. He got more signatures than all the other 400 or 500 stores in the state that carried the petition. And in one store, he got more signatures than all the other stores in the state combined. He made believers out of people that never thought they could believe in the power that one person can bring forth. For those of you out there that might know Captain Adair at some point in his life, he was the most remarkable person. He took me, a polyester kid, a salesman, brought me in, turned me into a hippie, grew a beard, and we would go to marijuana meetings For the California marijuana issue, 74. In 72, let me tell you about California. In June, when it qualified for the ballot, the initiative had 9% of the vote. About 81% against it, and 10% undecided. As July and August and September and October came, the numbers went up small. 10%, 12%, 15%. On Halloween, just before the election in November 1972, with the ever popular Richard Nixon running for the president, we had 19% of the vote. Everybody thought we would get slaughtered. Everybody had discounted the marijuana movement. The barefoot hippies that had collected the signatures. A no money movement, nothing behind it. We got 34% of the vote. And that blew politicians away. In state after state, Oregon, Alaska, California decriminalized marijuana because of that vote. And they only started with 9%. Remember when they qualified in June? It was put on the ballot by hippies that knew when you went out to petition as a volunteer, there's nothing wrong with making money petitioning, but if you volunteer that you're going to go collect signatures, go collect the signatures. Your word should be as good as your money. If you can't collect them, put up some money to the organization that is collecting them and let them use your money. About 50 cents, 60 cents buys a signature. You put up $10, you bought 20 signatures. You bought somebody standing in front of a supermarket and collecting your signatures for you. It's a decent way. You put up the money, somebody else collects it, the signatures. We've got the greatest story in the world to tell. Besides pot getting you well, besides it being one of the greatest medicines and the safest medicine on earth. There is nothing safer you can put in your body than marijuana. You will live longer if you smoke pot every day of your life than people that do no drugs at all. You'll live 8 to 24 years longer than people that use alcohol and tobacco. You'll enjoy music more, you'll stress out less, you'll come home from work, smoke a bowl, and equal that executive's 2-week vacation to Puerto Vallarta, where he's always fucking fighting with everybody. And they charged too much of this, and they did that. Is there some water back there? No, is there some water back there? Can one of you guys get me some water? What do you guys?
Well, I'm a volunteer petitioner.
Well, if you were one of the volunteers, thank you, darling. If you were one of the volunteer petitioners back in 72, do you know who Capt Ed was?
Hey, yo. You're out here. Hey, I know Captain Ed.
Yeah, I know you do. We came back in 74, Ed's store collected another about 25,000 signatures. But they failed to make the ballot by 40,000, which they later admitted they miscounted. They wouldn't put us on the ballot. 10 years later, the government of Oregon did the same to the Oregon marijuana initiative in 1984. They said we missed the ballot by 300. I had come up here with a bunch of Californians and helped collect the signatures to put Oregon on the ballot. They said we missed by 300 signatures out of about 75, 80,000 collected. About 2 weeks from the initiative time, they said, yeah, you know what, we miscounted. You got enough signatures to get on the ballot, too late to put you on, so tough shit, you guys are off. That's pretty short shrift. We often didn't have lawyers to fight for us. Let me tell you, in 1973 and 74, as those people came up to me and told me that we could win the ballot, that we could get the signatures, and I thought we could do it voluntarily. I've tried probably 15 times in various states, mostly California, and missed the ballot until with Dennis Perone last year, or 3 years ago, we collected the signatures, we got on the ballot, we won a very liberal, very liberal medical marijuana in California. If you got headaches, you got stress, you got backaches, you got attitude, you can get a note. The hardest part about getting a note in California is the federal government has threatened doctors with the loss of their license. They haven't taken one away, but they've scared the hell out of the doctors. Very few doctors will give you notes.
If I had 20 speakers, I'd make people listen to.
So, when you think of all this work that people have been doing, the reason you can sit here and smoke a bowl, if you have to today, is because it's decriminalized in Oregon. It's decriminalized because about a half a dozen or a dozen people here, including Bill Convey, Mamas, Voter Power, these people that you just barely know, went out and collected signatures when the Oregon legislature recriminalized and Governor Kitzenhofer, or Bacher, or whatever his name is, signed it. We were at the Rainbow Gathering, we went out and collected signatures. We left the Rainbow Gathering stoned out of our mind on July 5th. You know what we were doing July 3rd when they signed it, and July 4th when we decided to come to stay in Oregon, not go back to California, and collect the signatures, put it on the ballot, stop the law from going into effect. You only have 90 days to stop a law from going into effect. It's called a referendum. Seldom used. But we went, in 90 days, we collected the signatures, stopped the law of Oregon from recriminalizing marijuana down to a seed. Where they can take your education, your car, your kids, go right home with you. If they find a joint in your car now, they must write you a ticket. If they find a joint in your car under that new law, they could take you home and search your house. So we went and we decided we had no time to talk it over. Then we have 90 days from when a law passes on a referendum to stop it. And only a few states have referendums. Oregon is one of them. They said we were losing, the papers that were for us said we were lose. Then we put out a medical initiative. That might pass. Might pass. But recriminalization was here, it was a fact. When it came up to a vote 9 months ago in November '98, a lot of people thought we were going to lose early on in that thing. We wound up winning by 66%. And I was happy to say, fuck the Oregonian. They put you in jail, take away your rights. It's a sloppy newspaper for a state. Marijuana, in case you ever have to defend it, hemp, don't forget, is the greatest single plant on our earth. Think of it, 3.5 million plants, and one plant is greater than all the other plants that grow on earth combined. Not just one at a time, like a King Kong over a retinue of other plants, or beings, or animals, but like a King Kong's King Kong. One plant can make all the paper, all the fiber, all the fuel. Nobody wants it to. But isn't it nice we have something to stop fossil fuels, to stop poison plastics? We have another way of living on Earth, but it takes you to register to vote. It takes you to register to vote and to vote. And if you move, re-register, and get everybody around you to register, and re-register, and re-register, and vote on issues. There might be things you might not want to vote for or against. that you'll find the lesser of evils, at least a choice. And one day you'll have things on the ballot, like initiatives that you're interested in, and you can actually do something. You can vote and cancel out some Gestapo-type brain who wants to vote in a synthetic future for mankind. So you live longer if you smoke pot than if you do no drugs at all. You live 8 to 24 years longer. 8 to 24 years longer, as I told you before, than people that use alcohol and tobacco. I often tell this driving story. If you're driving down the freeway and you're straight, and you go to miss your exit, you go, well, let me get over there, and you cross 3 lanes, and you get over. You see it every day. If you're drunk, and you go to miss your freeway exit, you say, oh, get over. You blindly cross another couple lanes. But if you're stoned, out of your gourd, and you go to pass your freeway exit, what I usually see is, whoa. You get off the next exit, you stop at the Burger King. You drive safer under marijuana. Everybody knows it. 99% of all the studies have shown it over and over and over again, and they've never been able to replicate their negative study. We're right. You live longer, you can make all the paper, fiber, fuel, food. Richest for protein on earth. Healthier than any other single food on earth. If we don't stand up and fight to shut those guys up, they can't shut us up in court. They can't shut us up in schools. They can't shut us up at all if you stand and tell your parents, tell your brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts, friends and acquaintances, and the guy sitting next to you on the bus. I have never stopped or gotten tired of telling the story of how to win your freedom. You register and vote. And you vote and you vote. To learn about the subject. I learned about this subject and I wrote a book about it. I know some of you read The Emperor Wears No Clothes. 600,000 copies, 11 new editions every time I write it. We write it new so that it has everything that was in it before, plus everything that was updated to now. The information is irrefutable. Marijuana is the queen and king of the earth. It's the healthiest and best thing for you. But it needs you to fight for it. It can't get up and fight for it. It's given us its knowledge. It's given us its incredible advantages. The finest paper from corrugated box. The finest fuel. The best oil. The #1 protein source on earth, and the highest linoleic, the essential fatty acids the body must have of all the foods on earth, and it can clean your blood better than anything else on earth. This is a plant that is illegal. And the only people it needs is us and all of the us that we know to be taught this information over and over again in an irrefutable way. So guys, I ask you to join me in registering to vote. There's a couple of initiatives floating around California, Oregon right now, to get on the ballot for marijuana. They are not my preferred words, but I signed them. They belong on the ballot if we have nothing else to put on the ballot, because it gets the information out. We can teach this information comprehensively. And there are 80,000 of us in prison in America, in jail in America. 1.5 million on parole and probation for marijuana. We want to get them all out of prison, all out of jail. We want to wipe the records clean. Until that happens, we haven't won this war. Nobody can rest on their laurels. If you have a soul and you care, you're going to do or give something every day. Big as it might be, big as it might be, to the marijuana movement. I have, my friends have, and because of it, I think a lot of us are a little bit freer here in Oregon, in California, than we would have been. So, for Captain Ed, wherever he is, and for me, Jack Herr, I want to thank Bill Condi for having this event against the police powers. All of you should think that a lot of people were scared to stay or come here. Because you're here, Bill's going to have a tough year.
He's got lots of friends.
You're going to have lots of friends. You need lots of money. So, I don't know what the solution is support Bill. When he asks for support, go out of your way. Because he has supported this movement in this state so well for 15, 16 years that I know him. You just can't do better than Bill Condi for helping save the planet. I have a booth over there next to Bill's. It's about 3 over from the elephant, above the elephant here. I'd love to see you there, talk with you. Remember to go register and vote. And then remember to teach all your friends that are 18 or older, register to vote right now and ask them the question until they get tired of you. Order you out of the house.
You the man.
I love you. Take care, guys.